So I wanted to start today's stream off by answering a question. I was scrolling through Instagram last night and I saw a video of the Pope talking about being pro life. And the question that can be gleaned from this clip, and it's the one of the titles, part of the title of the video, is can you be pro life and also support the death penalty? So, first, we're going to watch the video, then I'm going to react to it and give my take on it. And then here in a little bit, we're going to do something fun. So, we'll get to the fun part in a bit.
Someone who says I'm against abortion but says I'm in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life. Someone who says I'm against abortion but someone who says I'm against abortion but says I'm in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life. So someone who says that I'm against abortion but I'm in agreement with the inhuman treatment of immigrants who are in the United States, I don't know if that's pro-life. So they're very complex issues. I don't know if anyone has all the truth on them, but I would ask first and foremost that there be greater respect for one another and that we search together both as human beings, in that case as American citizens or citizens of the state of Illinois, as well as Catholics, to say we need to really look closely at all of these ethical issues and to find the way forward. Someone who says I'm against abortion but says I'm in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life. So someone who says that I'm against abortion but I'm in agreement with the inhuman treatment of immigrants who are in the United States, I don't know if that's pro-life. So they're very complex issues. I
Okay. So, can you be pro life and also support the death penalty? And I know he goes on to mention the inhumane treatment of immigrants. I would I would have to know what the Pope's definition of inhumane treatment would be, because there are people, the what is it? The no human being is illegal kind of people that would consider taking an illegal immigrant and taking them back to their home country, they would consider that to be inhumane. So I feel like in order to properly answer that part of it, I would have to know what the Pope's definition of inhumane would be. But focusing on the abortion part of it. Focusing on the abortion part of it, I think you would first have to I don't necessarily think that that is a good comparison, because when you say that when you're comparing it to abortion, there's obviously a clear difference between the people that suffer based upon abortion, the demographic that suffers based on abortion, and then the demographic of people that suffer because of the death penalty. In the case of abortion, because it's not exactly equal, because when you're talking about abortion, you are talking about the killing of the most innocent human beings, unborn children, children that do not know right from wrong. Whereas if you're talking about the death penalty, you are talking usually you're talking about the worst people, right? You're talking about people that have committed horrible atrocities. They have murdered people. They have repeatedly broke the law. They are a danger to others. You could not possibly let them back out into society. They have chosen to go down a very dark path of crime and violence and destruction. And so when you're talking about who do these things affect, I don't think it is equal. Therefore, I don't think that abortion is a good comparison. And when the Pope is talking about pro-life, I don't think he's talking. I don't think it's the right kind of question that is posed. But when he's talking about pro-life, he is not talking about the mainstream pro-life, anti-abortion, against abortion, pro-life. That's not really what he's talking about. It is he's using pro-life to describe something else entirely. And when he's using pro what the way that he's using pro-life is a way to describe pacifism is what he's really trying to describe. No violence, no killing, nothing like that under any circumstances. Does not matter the situation, does not matter the scenario, doesn't matter what is at stake, doesn't matter whose lives are at stake. Just straight up, no violence, no killing at all, ever, under any circumstances. That is really what he's talking about. He's not talking about conservative pro-life movement or pro-life marches. He's talking about pacifism, is what he's talking about. And I actually think, and I do think that you can be pro-life and also support the death penalty. But let's talk about some different examples here. And when you're talking about pacifism, I actually believe that pacifism is somewhat immoral to an extent. And I am not saying that you should be the aggressor in various different situations. In fact, I think that you should, if at all possible, you should try to avoid conflict. The like violent conflict. I'm not talking about conflict of ideas and talking with people and having debate. I'm saying like physical violence. And you should avoid being the aggressor in those situations. Right? You don't want to get in fist fights with people. You don't want to cause trouble. You don't want to put yourself or your family in that kind of position. But I do think that there are certain scenarios that justify the use of force and potentially killing somebody if the situation deems it necessary. And I think that the reason why I think that pacifism is somewhat immoral is because ultimately it stops me from fulfilling my God-given responsibility of protecting life and protecting my nation and my family. Specifically as a man, as a husband, it is my responsibility to protect my wife and protect my children by any means necessary. If somebody breaks into my home and they're looking to take my stuff and take my money, but more importantly, they're looking to do damage and they are looking to attack my family and harm my family, then I believe I have the right to do whatever is necessary to stop that threat. It is my responsibility as a man to stop that threat. It would be irresponsible of me to sit back. Oh, I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in violence. I can't hurt anybody. It would be irresponsible of me to sit back as a man, as a husband, and let some stranger come into my house and harm and abuse my wife and kids. That would be wrong of me. I mean, it's obviously wrong of the person perpetrating the act, but that would be wrong of me. To me, that is disgusting of me to sit back and let somebody abuse my wife and kids, hurt my wife and kids, kill my wife and kids. That is and that is what pacifism ultimately calls upon you to do, is to sit back, in and allow these things to happen. To me, that is immoral. Pacifism is immoral. And pacifism is really what the Pope is talking about in this video in this given circumstance. Now, the situation is a little bit different when you're talking about abortion, pro-life, and being for the death penalty. But again, you also those two things are not equal in my mind, because it's a it's really asking the question, does the punishment fit the crime? In the case of abortion, the punishment absolutely does not fit the crime because unborn babies are being killed, they are being dismembered for doing nothing other than existing. They are not to an age of accountability. They are not adults. They are the most innocent of the human beings. They do not know right from wrong. They have not even had the opportunity to make choices for themselves, but they have already been dealt the consequence of death. And that is one of the reasons why abortion is evil. And I also think it is evil to over punish, if that's the way you want to put it. It is evil to be heavy handed in certain circumstances. There are times where the punishment is too great for the crime. There's a time where the punishment exceeds the harshness of the punishment exceeds the harshness of the crime. And that is wrong. Because part of justice is that the punishment fits the crime, right? It is equal. The punishment is equal to the crime. And so in the case of abortion, it's obviously not equal because babies are killed for no other reason other than existing. Like, they haven't done anything wrong. And so you can be too heavy-handed. And maybe the justice system can be too heavy-handed. But it is also, I think, immoral and wrong to be too light in certain circumstances. In the example that I was using with somebody breaking into my house, purposefully letting somebody get the upper hand over me and then letting him abuse my family, that is wrong. That is wrong of me. That is immoral of me. It is my responsibility to protect them. That is the job, that is, as a man, specifically as a man, I have to lay down my life for my family if the situation deems it necessary. That is my requirement as a man. And to sit back and do nothing, that is immoral. And so you can be too heavy-handed and you can be too light-handed. And there are some crimes where, I guess you would say, the way that a lot of different trials play out, a lot of different punishments are carried out by the legal system. Usually it results in a loss of property, meaning that you have to pay a fine, or it means in a loss of time, right? You have to spend time in jail. Loss of property or time, money and time. That's usually the way that people are punished, or maybe they have to do community service or something like that. But that's still a loss of your time because you're doing something that, do you really want to be out there picking up trash on the side of the road because you did something wrong? Not necessarily. But there are at times examples where the crimes that have been committed, they exceed the traditional way of punishment. They exceed what our legal system traditionally does in terms of punishment. And when you're talking about people that are on death row, again, these are not the most innocent people. It's again not comparable to me. It's not even comparable to abortion. These are not the most innocent people. These are like the worst people. These are like the worst people. These are the people that have committed terrible, terrible crimes. And I, for one, this is what I don't get about the legal system. And this is a criticism of the legal system. One of my criticisms of the legal system would be that sometimes some of the punishments that they hand out do not really make a lot of sense. And you see all of these high profile trials take place and they get to the end and all the evidence has been observed and all the discussing and arguing has been done. And they're like, I sentence you to, 3 life sentences, or it's like, or 150 years in prison or something like that, 2 life sentences. That doesn't even remotely make sense. Does not even remotely make sense at all. Sentencing somebody to more than a life sentence is illogical. It does not make any sense. And so if somebody has committed a crime that would get them put into jail for 300 years, 200 years, 150 years, beyond the normal lifespan of a human being, then I think you're in some pretty serious trouble. And I do not have a problem with handing out the death penalty to people in that situation. And I think it would probably be like in the situation. So not to eat, and I know this is secondary. This is secondary to the overall argument and the overall point, but the amount of money that it takes to house these dangerous criminals for their entire life, maximum security, this really secure prison, maximum security. The amount of money that it takes for some of these prisoners, come on, I would much rather see that money taken and maybe given to the families that have suffered at their behalf, on their behalf, instead of keeping them alive for 70 years because, oh well, we don't believe in the death penalty. We don't believe that we don't believe that we should take somebody's life. No, that is being, I think there are some circumstances that is being too light-handed. And again, being too light-handed can be just as bad as being too heavy-handed. The idea of the punishment fits the crime is that if you commit a horrible crime, then you get a horrible punishment. You have a horrible fate, I guess. You commit a minor crime, you don't get a minor punishment. Or you do get a minor punishment. You don't get a harsh, extremely harsh punishment for that. And so if you're not willing to hand out the death penalty, then there's obviously a cap on the type of punishment that we can give certain individuals. Really? We're going to sit here, we're going to spend thousands of dollars every year putting this person into a maximum security prison, and we're going to sentence them to 150 years in prison. Like that doesn't even make sense. That does not even make, no chance of parole does not even make sense. And so, yes, you can be pro-life and also support the death penalty, because part of being, I think that if you're a pro-life person, then that is a good attribute. That is a good thing if you're pro-life overall, right? But if you're so pro-life that there is no justice, then to me that seems immoral. Because sometimes the justifiable thing to do, given the situation, is to death penalty, defend your family. I mean, in America, here's the thing. In America, you just have to expect that if you break into somebody's house, you're going to catch a bullet. Okay? That should be the reasonable expectation. If you're a criminal, you break into somebody's house, you're going to catch a bullet. Okay? This is America. That's what happens. And you can say, well, you think that's immoral? You think that's bad, that I have the right to defend myself and my family? And sometimes, and here's the harsh reality of violence, is that sometimes in order to be pro-life, you might have to take a life. And so if the answer is shoot this intruder or let him kill my wife and kids, the answer is going to be shoot the intruder 100% of the time. You're going to say no to that? That's not an option for you. That's not on the table. That is the thing. Sometimes in order to protect, and this is the thing. There's levels to this when it comes to morality. So why would I spare the life in the situation of the intruder? Why would I spare the life of a criminal and sacrifice the life of my wife and children who are innocent? Because if the intruder kills my wife and kids, then the punishment does not, that's a punishment, that's a consequence that does not meet the, that is a consequence that does not line up with the crime. They have committed no crimes. They have done nothing wrong. They are innocent in all of this, but yet they get killed. Okay, that's immoral. That is wrong. And it's wrong for me to stand by and let that happen. And so if I have to take the life of a criminal to protect the innocent life that is around me, that is not immoral. And likewise, in the case of the death penalty, if I have to take a life in order for justice to be dealt, in order for the proper amount of justice to be dealt, then that is not wrong. And like I said before, the question is kind of flawed. You cannot equate the killing of unborn babies to the killing of people on death row. That is not even I don't even think that that's a good example. That's not a good question that's posed in the first place. But I do think that you can be pro-life overall and also be pro-death penalty. Because if you say that, well, I'm pro-life, but and so therefore I should not, then therefore you should not, we should not have the death penalty, then it kind of makes it seem like that everybody is on equal playing ground when that is obviously not the case. An unborn baby is not on the same ground morally as a lifetime criminal, murderer, serial killer, psychopath who has done nothing but destroy and nothing but destruction, has caused nothing but pain and suffering. Though that is not equal. And so again, yes, I do believe that you can be pro-life and also be pro-death penalty. But as for the fun part, so let's do something fun. I was talking with somebody a couple. I feel weird making the transition from talking about death and death penalty and abortion and stuff like that to something else. But I mean, you got to throw some, if you're not, you got to throw some fun in there somewhere. Otherwise, it just gets too dark. It just gets too. You got to throw something fun in there every once in a while for the sake of your own sanity. But I was talking to somebody a couple weeks ago, and if you are a fan of college football, then you will know that college football has changed drastically over the last few years. And it has been changing a little bit for like the past decade, but it's changed a lot over the last couple of years with NIL and players getting paid, and campuses, colleges trying to figure out how they can subsidize their players and pay for better players, more expensive players. It's honestly kind of a mess. And I'm no expert on college football. I don't really watch college football that much anymore. But one thing that has really changed is the size of the conferences. And the Big Ten specifically has grown to an absurd amount of teams. I mean, I think, I don't know, there's probably 16 to 20 plus teams in the Big Ten now. I don't know. But the question that I was talking about with this person a couple weeks ago was, can I name the original Big Ten teams, the original 10, the ones before every other team, every other school was added? Can I name the original Big Ten teams? And it was actually hard. It was actually hard because it's been a long time since the Big Ten was actually just the Big Ten. Same thing with the Big 12, and it's really just the Power Four conferences, I think, now, where everybody is just an amalgamation of all the smaller conferences. A bunch of other teams have gone into these conferences and made them very large. And so, can I name the 10 original Big Ten teams? And it was kind of hard. Not gonna lie, it was kind of hard because you had to sit there. It's like, okay, was this team added afterwards? Was it original team? So it gave me an idea to create content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quiz. It's an online quiz. Can I guess all of the Division One football, the names of all the Division One football teams by their logo. And it's not exactly the same, not exactly the same question, but it kind of runs in the same vein. It's similar. And I'm actually kind of excited for this. Growing up, I played the old college football. They took a break, but then they brought college football back. But I played some of the old college football 2004, college football 2005, and we we played that game a lot. And so I'm going to see if that knowledge has stuck because it's especially with college basketball because you have to understand the difference. There's only like 120, 130 Division 1 college football teams. But in college basketball, I also played college basketball on the PlayStation. College basketball Division 1 has like 300 plus schools in there. And the obvious reason is because to you need a lot more people to play football than you do basketball. I mean, you have one or two All-American players, and you can actually have a good team. That's not really the case with football, and most schools just aren't big enough to have enough talent to compete with all these other teams. So they kind of had to cut down the amount of teams that were in Division One football, as compared to basketball, which you don't need as many good players. So we're just gonna stick with football this time around, and I'm gonna see if I can name all of the Division One college football teams by their logos alone. Now, I will say I'm pretty confident. I think I can get at least 100. The thing is and it's probably not going to be that impressive because the thing is about college football is that a lot of these teams have letters in their names, or they have the name, like what state they were from or something like that in the name. Like there's letters in the name, so it kind of gives you a little hint. But I think I'll do pretty good. Well, we're gonna give it a shot here. So let's go here. Get out of here. Okay. So start play quiz. Here we go. I think my downfall here is going to be that I can't type fast enough. I'm not a very good typer, so that might hinder me a little bit. But let's see what I can do here. Okay, off to a great start. I have no idea what this college is. Okay, this is Temple. This is Buffalo. Not Buffalo. Okay, I don't know what that one is either. I believe this is Eastern Carolina. Yes. This is Western Michigan. West Michigan. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Ohio. LSU. Washington. Virginia Tech. Minnesota, if I could spell Minnesota. No idea. No, wait, hold on. No. I think some teams have changed their logos, not gonna lie, because I've never seen that before in my entire life. Is it FIA, FAI? I have no idea. Sam Houston. Notre Dame. It could be. I think it's Louisiana. Maybe. I have no idea. I'm just going by the letters. Nope. I think this is George Mason. No. I don't think it's not Georgetown. Georgetown looks a lot different than that. And this is where I become confused. I think Loyola, like I was talking about, Loyola is probably a Division One basketball team. They are not a Division One football team. And so I'm thinking of teams that aren't even available, unfortunately. Syracuse. Oh my gosh. This was supposed to be fun, but I think I'm outing myself as being a horrible typer and embarrassing myself. No idea. I think that's what it is, but I don't know what kind of wording they're looking for. Maybe. Oregon State. New Mexico State. Is it Liberty? No. Oh, I don't know. UTEP. Come on, man. There we go. Oh, that makes it a lot easier. Yeah, how about they just give them to me all in alphabetical order or something, and that would make things a lot easier. This kind of looks like an updated Penn State logo because they don't really have, Penn State doesn't even really have a logo, do they? I guess not. I have no idea then. I think this is some kind of Michigan team. I think it's Eastern Michigan. Did I spell Michigan again for the 10th time? Wrong again? Come on, no. Nope. Bowling Green. Wyoming. Kansas. I always growing up in least basketball, Kansas football is typically not that good, but growing up, I always liked Kansas basketball because they were kind of like a blue blood. They were kind of up there with like the Duke, North Carolina kind of teams, but I never hated them as much as those other ones. You kind of just hate Duke and you just kind of just hate Duke and North Carolina and some of those dominant teams just because I mean they win a lot and they get all the transfers and everything, and so you kind of just shake your fist at them. But I never really felt that with Kansas. I thought that it was one of the blue blood. I did think it was one of the blue blood schools for basketball, but I never really hated them the same way. This team, I do not know. I feel like I should know this. I feel like I do know this one, but is it Missouri State? If I get this, I'm going to be very impressed. No, don't know. This one should be Buffalo. Middle Tennessee State. I don't know then. Boston College. This one is, I don't know if it's going to accept this, but I don't know if it's going to accept it, but uh, let's go. I think my headset's about to die. Unfortunately. Okay, this one is the Western Kentucky. I thought the other one, I thought there was a Western Kentucky in there. Maybe I was confused earlier. Indiana. Ball State. I don't know what UAB stands for. I just know it's UAB, and I guess that's good enough. I think I'm a little bit behind. I need to get rolling here. Ohio State, defending champs. Michigan, defending cheaters. I actually don't know. I don't know what that whole deal is with whatever kind of scam, I guess, was going on with Michigan. App. I feel like I should know this one as well. I can't spend too much time on it. I can't waste too much time on it. So far, there have only been probably 4 or 5 that I just genuinely do not recognize at all. I can't think of the name of some of them, but I recognize the vast majority of them. Like this one here. I think it begins with a T. I'm not entirely sure. Don't know about that one. This one's SMU. Stanford, Andrew Luck, RIP. I wish my dream is that Andrew Luck comes back to the Colts for 1 year, they win a Super Bowl, and then he just retires again. That's my dream. If Andrew Luck was on this year's Colts team, it would be, I think it would be pretty much lights out. I think that they would be equal with all of the other good teams in the AFC, if not better. If Andrew Luck was on this year's Colts team, they would be a for sure contender in They would be a for sure contender in the AFC. Do not know. TU should make it easy, but it does not. I'm not going to set that. Is it not Yale? Really? Okay, I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. Not gonna lie. Nope. I feel like this is a Florida team, maybe. That hurts my soul. No idea. No idea. Oh, come on. Great. I'm going to get less than 100 because of that one. I guarantee it. No idea. It's not Rutgers. It's Richmond, I think. No, the Richmond Spiders. Akron. That one's misleading because it's not it's the Akron Zags is what it is. So they put the name of they don't put the place, right? It's not like North Carolina. Like this one, it'd be like Tar Heels. If it was the Tar Heels, it's North Carolina Tar Heels. That one, it just names the team. It's the Zags. And so it doesn't have an AC for Akron or anything like that. Looks like the Philadelphia Eagles. That's not, I don't think that's the typical USC. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I don't think this is it, but it's I don't know. man. Did I missed a C somewhere? Or an N? This is I think I know what it is. I just don't know how to spell. I don't know if it's not like it's like Freighton or something like that. It could be wrong. I don't think that's right. It's okay. Hold on. I don't think this is what UCLA looks like, but it's not SMU. It's I should know it. It's the Black Knights. It's the something Black Knights. Am I gonna be one short? Come on, don't do this to me, please. Don't do this to me. Oh my gosh. Please no, please no, please no. It's not George Mason. All right, put George Mason. Coastal Carolina. I knew it was a Carolina. I just didn't know which one. Holy cow. That is really unfortunate. I was literally saying that I thought I could get I was literally saying that I thought I could get get 100% or not 100%, 100 teams, but I guess it was one short. That's unfortunate. So which ones did I miss? Let's go back here. Can I go back? Louisiana Monroe, Utah State, Pittsburgh. Come on, that's I feel like I should have gotten that one because I now I remember, but that's not the typical Pitt. I just used to Pitt, that's the classic one. Alternate logo. That's okay. I'm giving myself 100 for that one because I didn't know we were doing alternate logos here. If it was the traditional logo, it would just say Pitt, which would have been pretty obvious. So I guess I understand why they took it off, but I'm giving that one to myself. Georgia Southern, no idea. Okay, I put Liberty for another school, but not this one, and that makes sense. James Madison. I put George Mason, not James Madison. Eastern Michigan. See, and here's the thing about these is I can't remember all of the Michigans. Okay, I got 20 minutes to name all these. I can't remember all of the Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Coastal Carolina, North Carolina, South Carolina, all these other Carolinas. I can't remember all of these. I can't keep track of which ones I've already put down. Washington State. That sucks. I typed that in multiple times on different ones, but it was not the correct one. Coastal Carolina. This one is what really killed me. Missouri State. Colorado State. That one really makes me mad because I knew that one. I sat there. That's probably why I ran out of times because I sat there and looked at this one forever because I thought I was actually going to get it, but I couldn't get it. Yeah. Nevada. I have no idea. I was wrong. Old Dominion. Goodness. Texas State. I didn't even know there was a Texas State. Georgia State. Tulsa. I also don't think this is the normal Tulsa colors. Yeah, here we go. Alternate logo. See, I got gypped because of the alternate logos. Northern Illinois. This one really makes me feel stupid. I should have gotten that. NC State. I knew it. I literally sat here. I was staring at this one to Colorado State, and I was sitting, and then this one, I was sitting here staring at it. I was like, I think this is a Florida one, but I can't remember which one it was. Come on, man. Why is Wichita State not on here? UCF. That one really hurts. Unfortunate. One short of my goal. I'll have to do another one of these. This was kind of fun. I'll have to do something like this again sometime.